For years, Senator Elizabeth Warren embraced her Native American heritage, but our next guest scrutinizes the 2020 contenders' understanding of life for many of them. In a new FoxNews.com op-ed, she declares if Elizabeth Warren really understood Native Americans, she'd know socialism doesn't work. Here to explain, the executive director of the New Mexico Alliance for Life, Elisa Martinez. Elisa, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Ainsley, for having me today.
You're welcome. So why did you write this op-ed?
Well, you know, again, if Elizabeth Warren understood Native Americans, she would know that, socialist policies simply don't work. I grew up in Gallup, New Mexico, which is known as the heart of Indian country. And sadly, it's one of the poorest areas in the nation. And what I witnessed firsthand was the poverty that socialist policies create on the Indian reservations, which have led to devastation, destruction, and despair. Some reservations have unemployment rates as high as 85%, and of Native Americans that are employed, 29% of them are living below the poverty line. So I learned a very important lesson growing up in Gallup, that government handouts are never as powerful as a hand up. And that is why I believe tax cuts and economic freedom are what help working families lift them out of poverty. By contrast, socialist policies that rely very heavily on higher taxes and government handouts only lead to devastation, destruction, and despair. And, I can't understand why anyone would want to destroy the progress, the economic progress that we've made under President Trump's economy, especially since we're looking, as you know, Ainsley, at all-time unemployment lows of that we haven't seen in 50 years. I very much believe that these socialist policies lead to devastation, destruction, and despair.
So it sounds like you're saying it doesn't move our country forward. It actually takes us back.
Absolutely. We need to preserve the President Trump's tax cuts, which are due in large part to the strength of our economy, as well as the deregulation of business that we've seen under his administration. And I believe these are the policies that are going to help working families continue to prosper, especially in New Mexico, where I'm from, which is why I'm looking at running at the open U.S. Senate seat in New Mexico.
Oh, really?
Yes, I am. And again, we do need to move things forward, not backward. We need to continue the progress of President Trump's economy and not regress to the failed policies and empty promises of socialism.
Well, people are asking, how are these candidates, these Democratic far-left candidates, how are they going to pay for all of this? If you look at some of the policies under Elizabeth Warren, these are policies she's either supported or they're her policies. Medicare for all, $32 trillion over 10 years. The Green New Deal, $93 trillion. Green manufacturing deal, $2 trillion. How in the world is she going to get money to cover all of that?
Well, her proposals total up to about $127 trillion, and she's, introduced a tax plan that would only cover $3 trillion of the $127 trillion over 10 years. So we know that the taxes are going to be raised on all Americans across the board. But again, these policies are going to destroy our economy. And even worse, Ainsley, I believe that this is going to empower the bureaucrats in D.C. and politicians like Elizabeth Warren to have more power and control over our lives. And I think that is a very scary prospect.
When are you going to decide if you're going to run for Senate?
Well, we're having conversations with folks across the state. I run a statewide organization of 28,000 supporters, and they, by the grace of God, helped us defeat some of the most radical abortion up to birth and infanticide legislation in the country. But this was in a Democrat legislature. So I'm having conversations with folks across the state about that prospect.
Okay. Well, let us know. We wish you all the best. Thanks, Elisa.
Thank you.
You're welcome.